When a man finds himself utterly alone, with no voice to answer his cries and no hand to lift him from despair, he often discovers a truth more powerful than anything he has ever known, that when you have no one but God, you have everything you need to rise. In this moment of darkness, when the world turns its back and the noise fades into a deafening silence, something extraordinary begins to awaken within. It's not weakness, it's not defeat. It's the raw, unshakable foundation of divine power and inner purpose being forged in the furnace of solitude. Many men walk through life surrounded by people but feel an emptiness so deep no success, no praise, no worldly gain can fill it. But the man who has tasted the loneliness of the soul and turned inward to find the voice of God, that man discovers an unbreakable spirit. This is the fire that drives unstoppable motivation, the spark that ignites life purpose, and the beginning of true self-mastery. The world may offer comfort, applause, and distractions, but only God offers direction when everything else is stripped away. If you're standing in that silent place right now, broken, doubting, desperate, good, because this is where champions are born, not in the presence of applause, but in the silence of isolation. Not when surrounded by admirers, but when driven by divine alignment. In the absence of support, you are being prepared. This is your calling to rise, not by the world's hand, but by your faith, your fire, and your fierce determination. When a man has no one but God, he does not merely survive, he transforms, ascends, and becomes unstoppable. There comes a moment in every man's journey when he stands face to face with the echo of his own soul. The laughter of the crowd has vanished. The familiar voices that once encouraged him fall silent. Friends grow distant. Family fails to understand, and the world once bright with promise grows dim. In that sacred stillness, a man learns a truth more enduring than steel, that the strength to rise does not come from some outside approval, applause, or recognition. It comes from one place and one place alone: unshakable faith in God. You may feel abandoned. You may feel rejected. But these emotions, these pains, these piercing moments of despair, they are not your enemies. They are your summons. They are the knock of destiny at your door, calling you to a strength not born of the flesh, but of the Spirit. You are being drawn into a higher power, a divine power that whispers not through the noise, but through the silence. This is where true mental toughness is born. This is where spiritual awakening begins. When no one answers your call, God does, not with the voice of man, but with clarity in your heart. Not with comfort, but with conviction. Not with ease, but with elevation. Your loneliness is not a curse. It is a crucible. It is where boys become men. It is where men become leaders. And it is where leaders are transformed into legends. Spiritual strength, the kind that makes men unbreakable, is not inherited. It is not taught. It is earned in solitude, in storms, in the sleepless nights, when your mind says quit and your spirit says press on. You find it when you drop to your knees, not in defeat, but in surrender, not to the pain, but to the purpose that lies behind it. You must understand this. God uses isolation to prepare you for elevation. What you see as rejection, he sees as redirection. When you feel like you've lost everything, you are actually being stripped of what's false so you can be filled with what's true. In this emptiness, he begins to fill you with vision, with clarity, with a mission bigger than yourself. That pain, that heartbreak, it's not the end. It's the beginning of the man you were born to be. The strength that comes from God does not waver with opinions. It does not collapse in chaos. It does not vanish when you are misunderstood, criticized, or betrayed. No, it intensifies. It sharpens, it grows. You will learn to walk alone, but never be lonely. Because when your soul is aligned with divine purpose, you realize that solitude is not your enemy, it is your sanctuary. You are never truly alone when your heart is anchored in faith. Your path may be lonely now. You may not see the fruit of your sacrifice, but do not falter. This is where unstoppable motivation is forged. This is where faith in God becomes more than words. It becomes your strategy, your foundation, your fuel. Keep walking even when the lights go out. Keep building even when no one applauds. Keep rising even when life knocks you down again and again. Because what is being built in you now will last far beyond the trials of today. Men of greatness have always walked this path, not with crowds, but with character. Not with comfort, but with conviction. They did not beg for validation, they built it within. They did not pray for ease, they prayed for endurance. They did not ask for shortcuts, they asked for strength. And they found that strength in God. If you find yourself at that breaking point right now, if you are wondering how much longer you can hold on, know this: you are not weak. You are being made strong. You are not lost. You are being led. You are not forgotten. You are being formed. What feels like the end is often the beginning of the most powerful chapter of your life. This is your season of separation, not punishment, but preparation. While others sleep, you will build. While others settle, you will rise. While others fear, you will step into purpose-driven living. Not because it is easy, but because God is with you. The world may not understand your journey, and that's okay. They don't need to. This is between you and your Creator. This is about divine alignment, not worldly acceptance. This is about finding strength when nothing else remains. And when you rise, and you will rise, you will not only know the strength of a man, but the power of a man who walks with God. So let the silence speak. Let the solitude strengthen. Let the setbacks sharpen your resolve. Because the man who finds strength in God when he feels completely alone is a man who will never be defeated. There are seasons in life when the sky turns dark, and no matter how hard you try, nothing seems to break through the storm. You push, you grind, you give it all you have, and still nothing moves. Doors close. Friends disappear. Opportunities vanish. You find yourself surrounded by chaos with pressure mounting and no clear way forward. This right here is where most men break, but not you, because you are about to discover the one force that cannot be stopped by failure, fatigue, or faith or fear. Faith in God. You see, faith is not wishful thinking. It's not blind hope. It's not begging the universe for mercy. Faith is the fire in your chest when the world goes cold. It is the belief that even in the face of impossible odds, divine purpose is still working in your favor. Faith is what keeps you moving when your legs want to give out. It is what drives you to act when logic tells you there's no reason to continue. When a man truly understands what it means to trust God in hard times, he becomes a force that cannot be broken. Hard times are not a punishment. They are a proving ground. The enemy wants you to believe that because things are difficult, you're finished. But hard times are not where dreams die. They are where warriors are forged. They are where men become men, not because they had it easy, but because they had the spiritual discipline to keep going when everything screamed at them to stop. The man who walks by faith knows something others don't. He knows that setbacks are setups. That pain is preparation. That every hardship is an invitation to rise higher than ever before. He understands that nothing, not betrayal, not bankruptcy, not heartbreak, can stop a man who is fueled by a vision that comes from above. Because when your purpose comes from God, motivation becomes unstoppable. This is not motivational fluff. This is battle-tested truth. Faith does not remove the struggle, but it redefines it. Suddenly, failure is no longer failure, it's feedback. Delay is no longer defeat, it's divine timing. And fear is no longer an enemy, it's a signal that you're on the edge of something great. Let me ask you, when was the last time you pushed yourself beyond your breaking point and still kept going? That is where real faith shows up. Not when things are smooth. Not when the money is flowing and the crowd is cheering. But when the night is long, the path is unclear, and you have nothing left but the whisper of hope that says, keep moving. That is when unstoppable faith takes over. You may not have the support you wish you had. You may not have the resources others enjoy. But if you have faith, real, burning, unshakable faith, you have everything you need. Because God is not limited by your circumstances. He is not constrained by your bank account, your background, or your current reality. What He needs is your belief, your trust, your willingness to keep stepping even when you don't see the way. And every step you take in faith, even the small ones, are recorded. Nothing is wasted. No act of courage is overlooked. You are being watched. You are being prepared. The mountain you're climbing may feel endless now, but the summit is closer than you think. And when you reach it, when you finally stand where few dare to climb, it will not be because of talent, luck, or connections. It will be because you chose to believe when everything told you to quit. Understand this: motivation that comes from ego will crumble when pressure comes. Motivation that comes from approval will vanish when the applause dies. But motivation fueled by faith in God is eternal. It renews you. It empowers you. It strengthens you in ways no man can explain and no enemy can destroy. You don't need to know how it will all work out. You don't need to see the whole path. All you need to do is take the next step. Keep showing up. Keep praying. Keep building. Keep believing. Every hard season you endure, every lonely night you survive, every tear you shed in silence, they are laying the foundation of a future that will glorify the very God who got you through it all. So if you're in the storm right now, good, because storms don't destroy men of faith, they reveal them. If you're at the bottom, good, because there's no place to go but up. And if everyone has turned away, good, because this is the season for divine alignment, not human approval. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are the chosen instrument of a higher calling. And the power that brought you this far will carry you further than you can imagine if you dare to believe, if you dare to act, if you dare to keep going when everything around you says stop. This is how faith fuels unstoppable motivation in hard times. This is how giants rise from the ashes. This is how the broken become unbreakable. And this is how your story will be written, not in the ink of fear, but in the fire of faith. There is a moment in a man's life when everything he leaned on collapses. The friends who once laughed with him disappear. The plans he once proudly declared fall apart. The money runs dry. The path vanishes. And he stands in the ruins, stripped of everything he thought defined him. It is here in this sacred silence that he finally meets the only one who was never absent, God. And when you're left with nothing but God, you are not at the end, you are at the beginning? Because purpose is not found in success, it is discovered in surrender. Real power is not in pretending you have it all together, but in admitting you have nothing left and choosing to rise anyway. Men spend their lives chasing illusions, wealth without peace, status without substance, applause without authenticity. But all of that can be taken in a moment. The job can end. The title can be stripped. The spotlight can fade. What cannot be taken, what no man, no loss, no trial can steal, is the identity of a man who has found his purpose in God. This is not about religion. This is about revelation. When a man is left with nothing but God, he is finally ready to see the truth of who he is. Not who the world told him to be, not who pain tried to shape him into, but who he was designed to be before the world got its hands on him, a man of purpose, a man of power, a man of divine alignment. And how does he find that purpose? Not by running from the emptiness, but by facing it. Not by numbing the pain, but by walking through it. Not by blaming the world, but by asking the hard question, what is this trying to teach me? Because God never allows you to lose what you need. He allows you to lose what is no longer serving your destiny. So if you're in that place now, standing in the rubble, confused, hurting, lost, you're exactly where you need to be. This is not your breakdown. This is your breakthrough. The moment when the false fades and the real begins. The moment you stop performing and start living. The moment you shift from surviving to becoming the man you were born to be. Let me be clear, purpose is not handed to you. It is extracted from you through adversity, through failure, through isolation, and yes, through faith. The pain you're feeling is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of your mission. The mission that only you can fulfill. The mission that was forged for you before you took your first breath. Because there's a reason God stripped it all away. It's not because you're cursed. It's because you're called. And what you're called to do cannot be built on shaky ground. It requires a new foundation, one that is unshakable, unbreakable, and rooted in divine strength. That power you've been looking for. It's not in books, though books help. It's not in mentors, though mentors guide. It's not in motivation, though motivation ignites. True power, the kind that lasts, comes from knowing that you walked through the fire, been abandoned by the world, and still kept your soul. That you lost everything but found God. And in finding Him, you found yourself. And once you know who you are, no man can make you doubt again. Once you know why you were created, no storm can make you question your path. Once you've stood with God in the dark, you are no longer afraid of the night. You become a man of vision. A man of conviction, a man who no longer needs approval because he walks in alignment with eternal purpose. This is the man the world needs. Not more noise, not more performers, but men who have been broken and rebuilt. Men who have faced hell and chose heaven. Men who don't just chase success, but carry significance. Men who lead not because they're perfect, but because they've been perfected through the fire. So let the world think you're done. Let them misunderstand you. Let them mock the quiet rebuilding. Because when you rise, and you will rise, you won't come back the same. You will come back with clarity, with purpose, with the kind of strength that cannot be bought, borrowed, or faked. This is your guide to power. Lose what you thought you needed. Let go of what was never truly yours. And grab hold of the only source that can never be taken, God. From there, build again. Dream again, love again. But this time, build it on truth. Build it on faith. Build it with a purpose that outlives the pain. And when they ask how you did it, when they wonder how you survived the storm, you will answer not with arrogance, but with peace. I was left with nothing but God, and that was more than enough. There will come a time in your life when the weight becomes unbearable. The lights go out. The phone stops ringing. The world feels cold, indifferent, even cruel. And you sit in silence, staring at a wall, wondering how it all came to this. The pain cuts deep. The questions echo louder than any answer. You're in a place where your strength seems gone, your faith feels thin, and hope appears like a distant memory. This is what many call rock bottom, but in truth it is holy ground. Because life's darkest moments are where God does His deepest work. No man becomes great without walking through the shadows. No legacy is born without pain. No strength is forged in comfort. So if you're in that moment now, if the darkness is thick and the way forward unclear, understand this. You are not being buried, you are being planted. Something is being born in you. Something indestructible. Something the world can't touch. You see, life will test you not to expose your weakness, but to awaken your inner power, the kind of power that cannot be bought or borrowed. This power is found not in avoiding pain, but in learning how to overcome it through faith and inner strength. Let's talk about faith. Faith is not pretending everything is fine. Faith is the courage to believe when everything screams the opposite. Faith is not ignoring the darkness. It is walking straight through it with your eyes fixed on a promise greater than the pain. When you choose faith in your lowest hour, you are not denying reality, you are defying limitation. You might be saying, "But I've lost too much. I've made too many mistakes." That's a lie. What you've lost doesn't define you. What you choose now does. Your failure is not your identity. Your mistakes are not your destiny. You are not finished. You are being refined. God does not waste pain. Every tear, every setback, every betrayal is being used, not to destroy you, but to transform you. And now we talk about strength. Not physical strength, not ego-driven toughness, but inner strength, the kind that gets you out of bed when the world feels pointless, the kind that allows you to face your fears without flinching, the kind that says, "I may be down, but I am not defeated." This strength doesn't come from talent or status. It comes from a quiet decision made in the dark. I will not quit. You have that strength inside you now. It's in your breath, in your scars, in your story. But it needs activation. It needs pressure. It needs adversity to awaken. That's why the storm is here, not to destroy you, but to introduce you to the version of yourself that doesn't fold, it doesn't fold you on, and doesn't run. Your pain has not been in vain. Every trial, every tear, every sleepless night was preparing you for a life of deeper meaning. In the absence of human support, you discovered eternal strength. In the silence, you heard a higher calling. And in your brokenness, you found unshakable faith. This is your awakening. You are not the man you were. You are becoming the man you were destined to be, refined by fire, anchored in faith, and fueled by purpose. So rise, move forward, speak life, because your story is not over. In fact, it's just beginning. You were left with nothing but God, and that was more than enough. Now live like it, lead like it, and let your life be a light for others still searching in the dark. The world needs your fire. Let it burn.